Austin's tech sector was not robust. It was contracting. Major companies had left. Thousands of workers had been laid off, and home prices were falling because the economic fundamentals had changed. Another reporter asked the question Abbott clearly didn't want to hear. "Governor, are you admitting you can't stop tech companies from leaving Austin?" Long pause. Abbott looked directly at the camera. "We're doing everything within our power to make Texas the most competitive state in America. We can't control decisions made by companies based on global market conditions, but we can control our regulatory environment, our tax structure, our business climate, and Texas leads the nation in all those areas." It was the closest thing to an admission of defeat Abbott has ever given. He can't force Tesla to hire workers back. He can't make Oracle return from Nashville. And he can't protect Austin homeowners from the collapse in home values caused by the tech exodus. Just days earlier, on November 19, 2025, Abbott had stood at the Texas Association of Business Summit, bragging about Texas's economy. "Texas is the blueprint for America's future economic success." He said, "We are leading America as the headquarters of headquarters. We are the #1 state for job creation." He touted Google's $40 billion investment in cloud and AI infrastructure. He praised Texas as #1 in wind power and utility-scale solar. But he didn't mention Austin, didn't acknowledge the layoffs, didn't address the housing crash. He acted like Austin's crisis didn't exist. The real estate market collapses. By fall 2025, Austin's housing market was in free fall. Home prices down 19.7% from the May 2022 peak of $659,500. That's an average dollar loss of $117,717 per home. The steepest decline among major U.S. markets. Worse than Cape Coral. Music, Florida, at -3.3%. Worse than San Francisco at 8.9%. Austin led the nation in price declines. Median home prices dropped to $430,000 by early 2025, down from $59,000 in May 2022. Some reports showed prices as low as $424,225. Active listings surged to over 15,000 homes, up 69% from pre-pandemic levels. Months of supply hit 5.9 months, well above the 4.0 neutral level. Austin officially shifted to a buyer market for the first time since 2019. Days on market stretched to 78 to 91 days. Homes that used to sell in a week were sitting for 3 months, and even then, many weren't selling. The average close-to-list price ratio dropped to 92.3%. That means homes were selling for 7.7% below asking price on average. Sales volume collapsed year-to-date through July 2025. Only 17,394 residential properties sold, down 7.4% from the prior year. Monthly sales for July 2025 totaled 2,380 properties, down 15.2% year-over-year and 14.2% below the historical average. And here's the most devastating stat. According to ICE Mortgage Monitor, 18.2%, 2% of Austin homeowners who bought in 2022 are now underwater. They owe more than their homes are worth. That's roughly 6,243 homeowners out of the 34,319 properties sold that year. For FHA-financed purchases, the rate is even worse. 65% of FHA loans originated in 2022 are underwater. That's 1,101 families who put down small down payments and now have negative equity. The rental market softened too. Average apartment rent dropped to $1,297 per month, with a 10% vacancy rate. Landlords were offering concessions: free month of rent, waived fees, reduced deposits because supply had exploded while demand evaporated. Commercial real estate got crushed even harder. Office vacancies hovered around 28 to 30%. Nearly 1 in 3 office spaces sitting empty. Tech companies that had leased massive offices during the boom were now shrinking or leaving entirely. And with remote work normalized, the companies that stayed didn't need as much space. Why the tech exodus destroyed Austin? So why did Austin collapse so dramatically? 3 reasons. First, Austin's economy was too dependent on tech. Unlike Houston with its diversified economy of energy, healthcare, and logistics, or Dallas with finance, telecom, and multiple industries, Austin bet everything on tech. From 2018 to 2023, over 30 tech companies opened shop in Austin. Employment in the industry increased nearly 31%. But when tech boomed, Austin boomed. And when tech collapsed, Austin had no safety net, no other industry strong enough to absorb the losses. Second, the pandemic migration was unsustainable. Austin's population and home prices surged based on a unique combination of factors: remote work, low interest rates, and tech company relocations. When those factors reversed, companies demanding return to office, rates doubling, tech layoffs, the migration stopped and in some cases reversed. People who moved to Austin in 2021 started leaving in 2024. Tech industry unemployment jumped sharply in January 2024. Luis Torres, a senior business economist with the Dallas Federal Reserve, noted that Austin accounted for around 20% of all to the gigafactory. He thought he'd build equity and upgrade to a house in a few years. Then Tesla laid him off in April 2024. He tried to find another tech job in Austin, sent out 150 applications over 3 months. Got 5 interviews, 0 offers. The Austin tech job market had collapsed. Everyone was competing for the same shrinking pool of positions. He couldn't afford his mortgage without income. Listed the condo for $365,000 in July. Sat on the market for 4 months. Finally sold for $320,000. Lost $55,000 plus all the money he'd put into renovations and furnishings. His entire savings gone. He moved to Dallas and took a job making $65,000, $27,000 less than Tesla paid him. Sarah and David bought a house in Cedar Park in 2021 for $425,000. Sarah worked for Indeed. David was a freelance designer with mostly tech clients. They had a baby in 2022. Life was good. Then Indeed laid off Sarah in May 2024. David's clients started canceling projects. By August, their household income had dropped 70%. They tried to sell, listed for $420,000. No offers, dropped to $395,000, then $375,000. Finally got an offer at $360,000, but they owed $410,000 on the mortgage. They couldn't sell without bringing $50,000 to closing money they didn't have. They're now 3 months behind on the mortgage, facing foreclosure, considering strategic default, walking away from the house and letting the bank take it, destroying their credit, but stopping the financial bleeding. Abbott talks about everything except tech layoffs. February 2nd, 2025. Governor Abbott stood inside Arnold Oil Company headquarters in Austin to deliver his State of the State address. The room was packed. Legislators, media, cameras everywhere. This was his moment to address Texas's economic challenges, the housing crisis, the tech layoffs devastating Austin, the families losing their homes. But Abbott didn't mention tech layoffs, not once. Instead, he bragged, "Texas is the most powerful economy in America, ranked as the best state for doing business for 20 years. Texas is #1 for the most new jobs, #1 for economic development, #1 as the best state to start a new business. Texas is the blueprint for America's future." He talked about being the 8th largest economy in the world, about freedom and opportunity, about welding students and career training, about school choice and property tax relief. All important topics, but completely missing the point. Austin's problem wasn't a lack of welding students. Austin lost 4,000 tech jobs in 1 year. Major companies left. Home prices crashed 20%. 18% of 2022 buyers are underwater. And Abbott said nothing. By June 2025, the legislature passed housing bills, Senate Bill 15, Senate Bill 840, House Bill 24, all aimed at increasing housing supply, cutting red tape, allowing denser development. Abbott held a ceremonial signing in August, surrounded by lawmakers, cameras rolling. The shortage of housing has increased the cost of living and has put the dream of home ownership out of the reach for far too many Texans. He said this session, Texas did more than any state in America to make housing more affordable. Senator Paul Bettencourt added, Texas has become the job creation nexus of the country. To follow along with housing affordability is simply just a continuation of the obvious. But that was a lie, or at least increasingly inaccurate. Texas was the job creation nexus. Past tense. In 2024, Austin was shedding jobs, tech companies leaving, layoffs accelerating, the boom was over, and Abbott was pretending everything was fine. The moment Abbott refused to acknowledge reality. August 18, 2025, the Texas Capitol. Abbott stood at a podium for the ceremonial signing of the housing bills surrounded by legislators. This was supposed to be a celebration, but one reporter asked the obvious question. Governor Austin lost nearly 4,000 tech jobs in 2024. Tesla laid off 2,688 workers. Oracle moved its headquarters to Nashville. Home prices in Austin are down 20% from peak. 18% of 2022 buyers are underwater. How do your housing bills bring those jobs and workers back? Abbott paused. His jaw tightened. These bills address housing supply. We're making it easier to build, slashing regulations, speeding up permitting. That will increase supply and bring down costs for all Texans, the reporter pressed. But Governor, Austin's problem isn't supply. There are over 15,000 homes on the market. Record inventory. The problem is demand. Tech workers are leaving because the jobs are gone. How do your bills fix that? Silence for just a moment. Abbott's expression hardened. Texas remains the best place in America to live, work, and do business. We have a strong, diversified economy. Austin's tech sector remains robust, and we're focused on creating an environment where businesses want to invest and grow. But his answer felt hollow because everyone in that room knew the truth. That was the first crack. Mortgage rates started climbing from under 3% to 4%, then 5%, then 6%. By late 2023, rates hit 7%. For tech workers considering a move to Austin, the math suddenly didn't work. That $500,000 house that cost $2,100 a month at 3% interest now costs $3,300 a month at 7%. Same house, same price, just unaffordable. Then the tech industry started collapsing. Late 2022 and early 2023 saw massive layoffs across the sector. Meta laid off 11,000 employees. Amazon cut 18,000 jobs. Google eliminated 12,000 positions. Twitter under Elon Musk slashed its workforce by 50%. And Austin felt those layoffs immediately, because many of those workers had relocated to Austin during the boom. When they lost their remote jobs, they had no reason to stay. February 2024, Expedia Group cut 64 employees in Austin. Bumble, the Austin-based dating app, laid off 350 employees, a third of its workforce. Then, in April 2024, the bombshell hit. Tesla announced it would lay off 2,688 workers at its Austin Gigafactory. That's 12% of the site's workforce, the single biggest tech layoff in Austin history. Employees found out via email. Your last working day will be today, April 14, 2024. Effective now, you will not need to perform any further work, and therefore will no longer have access to Tesla systems and physical locations. No warning, no explanation beyond restructuring, just instant unemployment. One Tesla employee spoke to local news completely blindsided. It was out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it. I was thinking that I was going to get up today later on and get ready for work. I just want to cry. That employee was a single parent in the process of moving into a new apartment, supposed to get their keys that week, give their deposit. Now, it was all on hold. No job, no income, no future. May 2024, Microsoft shut down Arcane Austin, its gaming studio. 96 employees laid off. The studio had developed multiple successful games, including Dishonored and Prey. Didn't matter. Microsoft was cutting costs. Austin was expendable. 2 weeks later, Indeed announced layoffs, roughly 1,000 employees. 8% of Indeed's global workforce, another massive blow to the local economy. Then came the headquarters exits. In April 2024, Oracle announced it was moving its headquarters from Austin to Nashville after just 4 years. Oracle's chairman, Larry Ellison, cited Nashville's strength as a center of the American healthcare industry. But analysts noted Tennessee was offering nearly $250 million in tax breaks and incentives. Austin couldn't compete. By late 2024, the exodus was undeniable. Cart.com, an e-commerce company, moved its headquarters from Austin back to Houston. Rooster Teeth, a digital media company, shut down operations entirely. 133 employees laid off. YouTube Music closed its Austin office. 43 staffers gone. Government Solutions announced layoffs for 650 employees by February 2025. Intel laid off 251 employees starting in November. Big Commerce announced layoffs for the third year in a row. According to the Texas Workforce Commission, nearly 4,000 technology jobs were slashed in the Austin region in 2024. And with some companies failing to file required notices, the actual number is likely higher. The tech companies that had powered Austin's boom were leaving, and taking their high-paying jobs with them. The impact was immediate. Tech workers who lost jobs started leaving Austin. Some moved back to California or New York, where family lived. Others relocated to cities with stronger job markets. And the tech workers who stayed stopped buying homes. Why purchase a $500,000 house when your industry is collapsing and you might lose your job next? 3 families destroyed by the crash. Ryan and Jennifer moved to Austin from San Francisco in 2021. Ryan worked as a software engineer for a tech startup. Jennifer was in marketing for another tech company. Combined income, $285,000. They bought a house in Round Rock for $485,000. New construction, 4 bedrooms, great schools. They thought they'd made the smartest decision of their lives. Then Ryan's startup ran out of funding, laid off 60% of its workforce in March 2024. Ryan was one of them. Jennifer's company announced layoffs 2 months later. She survived the first round, but her department got eliminated in the second round in August. Suddenly, they had zero income, 2 months of savings, and a $3,200 monthly mortgage payment at 6.5% interest. They listed their house in September 2024 for $480,000. Zero offers dropped to $460,000. One low ball offer at $420,000 they rejected. Dropped to $440,000. Finally got an offer at $430,000. They accepted. Lost $55,000 on the house, plus $30,000 in realtor fees and closing costs. Walked away with almost nothing. Moved back to California and are renting now. Marcus bought a condo in downtown Austin in 2022 for $375,000. He worked for Tesla, made $92,000 a year. The condo was perfect. Walking distance to restaurants and bars close. Well, now to this. 14,000 jobs cut by Amazon. The announcement officially coming down today, and the real estate market already feeling the impact of those massive layoffs. Car 7's Jack Bill joining us live tonight from Bellevue. And Jack, some homeowners and buyers are already scrambling to deal with the fallout here. Yeah, the long and short of it is, you might soon see more signs like this one popping up. This one's advertising a home in Bellevue, about 15 minutes from Amazon's headquarters, on the market for $1.5 million. I spoke to a pair of real estate brokers who say some of their clients were among those laid off. They've been getting calls all day, asking whether it's time to sell their homes or stop their search for a new one. April 2024, Austin, Texas. Tesla laid off 2,688 workers at its Gigafactory. The single biggest tech layoff in Austin history. 1 month later, Microsoft shut down its arcane gaming studio. 96 employees gone. Indeed, cut 1,000 jobs. Oracle moved its headquarters to Nashville after just 4 years. And across the city, tech companies that relocated during the pandemic started packing up and leaving. The result? Austin home prices down nearly 20% from their 2022 peak, the steepest decline among major U.S. markets. Median home value dropped from $659,500 to $430,000. Inventory surged to decade highs, and 18% of homeowners who bought in 2022 are now underwater, owing more than their homes are worth. This isn't a minor correction. This is a market collapse. And Governor Greg Abbott just delivered his State of the State address from an oil company headquarters in Austin, bragging about Texas being the 8th largest economy in the world. But here's what he didn't mention. The tech workers who drove Austin's boom are gone. The high-paying jobs that made $500,000 homes affordable disappeared. And without that economic engine, Austin's real estate market is crashing. This is the story of how tech layoffs destroyed Austin's housing market, and why Abbott's silence proves he has no solution when Austin was the tech paradise. Let's rewind to 2020, because Austin wasn't always like this. For years, Austin marketed itself as Silicon Hills, the alternative to Silicon Valley. Lower costs, no state income tax, great weather, vibrant music and culture, and for tech workers making 6 figures in San Francisco or Seattle, Austin looked like paradise. Then the pandemic hit. Remote work exploded. And suddenly, Tech workers who were stuck paying $4,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco realized they could buy a four-bedroom house in Austin for $400,000. Keep the same salary, pay zero state income tax, live in bigger space. It was a no-brainer. The migration accelerated rapidly. Between 2020 and 2023, Austin's population grew by over 200,000 people. Many of them were tech workers from California, New York, and Washington. They brought high incomes, stable jobs, willingness to pay premium prices for housing. Because even at $500,000, an Austin